Hey everyone, George here, and welcome back to the channel. So some time ago we talked about this 5-gallon Topfin Retreat tank, and at the time we had not finished doing the scape on this and stocking it because there were a lot of problems getting things because of the COVID-19 problem that we've got going on, and so it just took a little longer to get this exactly the way we wanted it. So today we're going to be talking about this tank. We're going to talk about some unusual things that I was able to do with this tank that I think are kind of pretty cool, but maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just think it's ridiculous. But the bottom line is that the tank is finally finished. I think it's exactly the way I want it to be, and I think it turned out pretty well. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to get to that in just a second here. The Topfin Retreat is probably one of the most popular tanks that I've ever built. I did a review on this tank, probably a year ago. Not this exact one, but one very much like it. And I just could not believe the response that I got out of people that were just interested in this tank. I think it's a product of PetSmart. It is one of their Topfin tanks, which they have several different ones. But this 5-gallon here seems to be probably the most popular of all of their tanks. So I had rescaped this probably starting about a month ago, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get all of what I needed to really get the scape the way I wanted it, and to stock it the way I wanted to, because just there wasn't a lot of things available, unfortunately, at the store that I usually do business with, as far as getting my fish and other stock for the tank. So it's just been the last couple of weeks that I was able to finally get some of the plants in that I had ordered. We're going to go over that a little bit here. First of all, this is really a small tank, so there's not a lot of room to do a lot of things in here. So what I wanted to do as far as plants in here was to have some repens down here along the front, which were not hard to get. They go all the way around the side here and into the back area, and they're stuffed all along in areas around the tank. Not a hard plant to get as far as being able to pick them up at PetSmart or a store like that. So that wasn't the tough plant to get. What I found out was getting the Petite Nana was really a difficult process. I had ordered those, probably 2 months ago, and it took almost that long for them to show up. I had some of them that were mounted on stone, and I also had some free-floating ones that I ended up gluing down with super glue, and it turned out, I think, to be a real nice tank as far as that goes. Now, some of the other plants that are in here, we do have some crypts in here. These are bronze. I don't remember the exact name on that. I will put that down below just so you can see. Those are also in different parts of the tank. There's some back in here, some up in the top here. So it's a fairly well planted tank, but at the same time, it gives a lot of room for smaller nano-sized fish, or fish that are not going to grow very big, to move around in here and do really well. So now, one of the first things you're going to notice in here, and I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about this, is you're going to see that I do have a koi betta in here. And this fish was originally in a video that I did showcasing an Aquarium 1.3 or 1.4 gallon. It was really small tank. And there was never any intention of leaving that fish in there. In fact, I got a lot of comments because I didn't mention that he wasn't going to stay in there. But no, he was never intended to stay in there. I was always going to put him in a minimum of 5 gallons. I do that with any betta fish that I ever have. I have bettas periodically, and when I am done with that particular tank, I often give them to friends who guarantee me that they're going to keep them in an environment where they have not only enough room, but they have a heater and they also have filtration, because to me that's just really important. If you don't have those two things, bettas are just like any other fish. So they need the heater, they need the filtration, and they need enough room to move around. So I think it's really important that when you are keeping betta fish, that you do keep them in an environment that's conducive to their health and their welfare, and they can live a long time. This particular fish is doing really, really well with some tetras in here. As you can see, there are some bloodfin tetras in here that I was really curious when I started this whole process as to whether or not that koi betta was going to get along with these fish. Now, the betta wasn't necessarily going to go into this tank, but I put the 5 bloodfin tetras in here, and I thought, let's give it a try and see if these fish will get along with this betta or not. And from about a week and a half ago till now, I have seen no signs of these fish having any problems with each other at all. They've done really, really well, and I'm really happy about that. The betta fish seems to mind his own business. He doesn't really seem to care much about the activity of these bloodfin tetras moving around the tank the way they do. So all is well with that. And that doesn't always happen. It's a chance you take whenever you're putting a betta fish in with other species as to whether or not you're going to have problems. And in this particular case, I'm really happy to say that we're not having any problems at all with this, and that makes me really happy. So the other stock that we have in here are basically just some nearite snails. There's 2 or 3 of those in here. There's one up at the top here that you can see openly, and I don't know where the other ones are right now. As you know, with nearite snails, they can be anywhere in the tank and get down in crevices and whatever. Unfortunately, that can be a problem because nearite snails can get into areas and sometimes not get back out, and unfortunately they die because of that. So you've got to be careful to try to look for them. If you don't see them and put a count on them every once in a while, it's probably a good idea to get in there and try to find them before they die, because they will expire if they are not in a situation where they have enough room to move around or they can get in and out of these cracks and crevices. So what else do we have in here? Okay, we have a pleco, a bristlenose pleco in here. That fish will not stay in here. I don't want any comments about that. That is simply for showing the tank right now. I am going to get a dwarf pleco, a dwarf albino pleco that's going to go in here over the next week or so when I can get one, and take this other pleco out of here. I know that this is not enough room in this tank for this particular fish, so I don't have any intentions of keeping that fish in here for any long periods of time. It is something that is just temporary. Also, a Siamese algae eater, which is down here. That's just great for running around and just kind of keeping the leaves and that sort of thing kind of cleaned up. And it does a great job of that, and I'm really happy to stock those kind of fish in a tank like this whenever I'm able to, and this really worked out really well. I only have one in there. I don't recommend just one Siamese algae eater in a tank. If you can get more than one, they are fish that like to school together. They're very much like autocinclids or cories or any of those kind of fish. They really need to have more than one in there. So again, this is a temporary situation that we will be doing something different here. Probably going to end up with like 3 autocinclids in here that'll get pretty much the same job done. And we'll do that over the next week or so as well. But I wanted to show you this finished product because it took so long for me to get this exactly the way I wanted it. And I think I've achieved that at this point here. Now we do have a little bit of an issue with something that is a design error on my part. The stone right in the front here is very close up to the glass, so it's almost impossible to get in there and really clean out that area. And I don't know what I'm going to do about that because this sort of hilled area down through here is very much dependent on this piece of stone being here to sort of support all of that. So I'm not sure how that's going to turn out or what I'm going to do about it, but I've got to figure out a way to be able to clean that off in there. As you notice, there isn't anywhere else in the tank that we have any algae issues, but I have noticed as I've built tanks in the past that algae issues usually crop up in areas like this where it's just the right environment for something to grow because nothing's picking at it. Snails can't get to the area. Siamese algae eaters can't get in there. Plecos can't get in there. It's just too tight of a spot for them to get in there and do a proper cleaning. So I'm going to have to mess around with that a little bit and see if I can get that resolved by moving that piece of stone around. So anyways, that's really basically it about this tank, and I'm going to talk to you in a few minutes here about what I think the future of this tank will be and see what you think, get your comments on it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell right up in this side over here on the video, and that way you know whenever I have a new video out that's going to be of interest to you. So appreciate if you would do that. Share it with your friends who are fish hobbyists. That way we can build not only my views but also my subscriptions, and really appreciate that because we're starting to make some headway on that a little bit, not only just because of the amount of videos that I have out, but the content is getting better, and I'm getting better at figuring out how to edit these videos and make them more interesting to people like you who are watching right now. So appreciate it, and I hope that you will take some time to like I said, hit the like, subscribe, and make a comment. I do like hearing from you because whatever you tell me, if you disagree with something, or if I haven't explained something correctly and you have an answer to that you think is important, I like to have that left in that comment section right down here, somewhere in here, right down in here. And when I do that, that gives me an opportunity to answer back and also to learn something as well. I'm always learning in this hobby, so if you have something to offer, I want to know about it because it's important for me to know what you're thinking, or if you have some ideas that I haven't thought of or I'm doing something wrong, I want to know that because, like I said, I'm learning every day, you're learning every day, and that's important to me that we get that feedback. So anyways, George here with The Art of Water. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad that this particular tank is done now. We can just sort of enjoy it, and we'll see what the future is of this tank. I don't tend to keep tanks very long before I'm on to building something new with them, but this one here, like I said, I just finished it, so I'm hoping to have it for a while here, and we'll just do a follow-up on it here in another month or so, just to kind of see where we're at with the stock and the aquarium itself. But again, thank you, and we'll talk again soon.